We have got time afterwards if people want to carry on talking. And I think what's interesting is the power of conversation in facilitating anything around this is so key. If you have a process, you have a framework, and you dictate and take people through it, you will struggle to get this to come out of people. So I think that's been a useful exercise in itself. I just very quickly want to touch on how we can help, sort of work that we're doing, so that if you are at the point where you feel like you need some help, for obviously, here's the pitch, please reach out. This is something we are very passionate about, and it's the core of what we do. So just to give you some examples of some work we're doing. So we are working with one of the large UK universities currently, where we have run a series of purpose workshops to understand what they were doing and what their purpose was, and that has led on to us running a mindset assessment across their whole leadership team and making sure that they were aligned both in terms of where they were going as a team, but also in terms of purpose. And that's been a really interesting piece of work in the academic sector. An FMCG company who called us up out of the blue and said, we want to run a graduate program. So we said, okay, why? Went and saw them, and what we realised was they were a business that had, I think, quadrupled in demand overnight, and they had lost an idea of where they were going, and they needed to rediscover their purpose. So the work we've done with them now has been to run some purpose workshops, look at a competency design for the whole organisation, and do some pulse assessment on their leadership, which, is our psychometrics, on their leadership team. They will need a graduate programme, but they need to do something else first to make the graduate programme succeed. So that was a great piece of work. We are currently working with a digital consultancy who put large teams, particularly into the public sector, to deliver digitisation, if they ever get there. And that has started off with some purpose workshops, because the business has a new business and it's just growing very rapidly. Looking at competency design for the people they're going to select and hire, and also doing a mindset assessment across both their leadership and, in time, their project workforces, so that we can help them with that, placing the project teams in place, looking at the mindset setup, and making sure they're getting the best possible team to deliver their customers as well. And then finally, one that's very close to our heart, we're working with a UK charity. Actually, Tim, I don't know why I'm stealing your thunder. You've done all the work on this. Do you want to quickly tell us?
We're working with a UK charity, taking our strength, our DNA, and working with the UK charity to apply what we do, pro bono for underprivileged youths, to help them, coming back to what I was saying earlier, to help them find meaning in life through work, by helping them channel in the right way, using scientific principles and psychological principles. And we're hoping then to move from that. We're developing a questionnaire method, interview methods for them, so they're more effective in getting those youth and not letting them slip through the gaps. And then moving that forward to possibly a scalable piece of work where recruiters who are experts in putting together CVs and helping people find out where the jobs are, working with them to move forwards in life. So yeah, using our DNA in another way.
And I think what's really key here, that you've slightly skipped over because you're a bit modest, is that the charity was turning away thousands of youths each year because it didn't fit into their filtering system of who they could help. And so the upside for this is not only will it help them to filter slightly better to get the right people in the right place, everybody who has been through the system will walk away with something of value. And that's quite a difficult thing to do with the youth of today, because they aren't particularly patient or attentive. You have to grasp them immediately around their purpose and their drive. So I actually think it's a stronger piece of work than maybe Tim said, which is great. So just an idea of the sorts of things we do. It is not purely about running purpose workshops. It's also about stuff around the infrastructure, making sure it's right. But we believe at the front of all this is purpose. When you understand why you do something, it's a lot easier to organise the rest.